Welcome to the Final Frontiers radio show, where we spotlight inspiring missionary endeavors around the globe. Stay tuned to hear how you can personally get involved, helping the Lord's frontline soldiers effectively advance the gospel where it has never been preached before. Today we're going to talk about how useful motorbikes are for church planters in Africa and India. We're going to talk about the Final Frontiers online store and an upcoming trip to Honduras, and we'll discuss the first reports going out for the Great Commission Fund, as well as our question and answer session asking founder Jon Nelms what prompted you to start Final Frontiers.
This is the Final Frontiers radio show. I'm Daniel Nelms. I'm here today with
Jon Nelms,
Michael Horn,
and Joshua Martin.
We've got a lot to talk about today in our February 2020 podcast. Hey, I want to talk to you guys today about motorcycles. Now, some of you guys probably think, hey, motorcycles, that's a toy. That's something you ride on to have some fun. It's not something that you would take seriously, at least not here in the United States, most of you. But in the third world, those are a real, lifesaver. There's no way in the world you're going to be able to afford a car, but something like a motorcycle is a much more obtainable goal. They're also very economical to run, and they're cheap to fix. Now, for years, sponsors have been giving us donations so that we can buy motorcycles for our national preachers overseas. We've bought a couple of hundred of them probably over the years. Well, last year we started to, ask more people to donate specifically for this cause, and it's going very well. This month alone, I believe we've sent out 15 motorcycles, some to Kenya and some to India, 2 different groups in India. So these have been real lifesavers for these guys. These are guys who are going out and evangelizing and getting chased by tigers and bears. I'm not kidding.
In India,
yeah. You can't outrun a bear. If you have a bicycle, well, you can't pedal faster than a bear. But if you got a motorbike, you can get away, and that's a pretty big deal. So if you think that that's something that you'd like to get involved with, they are roughly $13.50. That it doesn't seem to be dependent on the country. Everywhere we purchase motorcycles, they're all pretty much about the same price. It's just one of those things. So whether it's going to Latin America or Southeast Asia or Africa, it doesn't matter. They cost around $13.50, and that usually will cover the bike, the title, helmet, and registration, some gas to get started with. So if that's something you can help out, please let us know. Another thing I wanted to let you guys know about is we've got our online store up and running. This is stuff that we make here. The staff of Final Frontiers puts together. Mostly stuff like handicraft type of items. This is stuff that we do on our off time, and all the proceeds from the sales go directly to help the ministry. It doesn't go to us personally. So if you want to check that out, you can visit our website at finalfrontiers.world, and there'll be a link to that shop.
These are items that have Bible verses on them, and they're missions orientated, right? Some of the keychains actually say Final Frontiers.
Yeah, some of the stuff is branded, other stuff is not, but it's stuff that we hope that you will enjoy.
Aren't the children helping out with this?
They are. Well, that's sort of a surprise.
Something we're actually working on for this Christmas season. So we've got to get started now, but anybody who sponsors a child in Honduras, more than likely you're going to get a little treat when we send out your update photo around October, November time.
Just in time for Christmas.
I'll leave it at that, but be on the lookout for it. It's going to be from your sponsored child, and we hope it'll be a blessing to you, something you can look at and remind you of your sacrifice and how you're being a blessing to those children.
Maybe something you can hang on your Christmas tree.
Wow, that's really getting close.
Now, one of a little bit of information about the store, any item you purchase, there will be a little tag on there. So if you order something for a friend, they'll actually receive it, and there'll be a little tag on there saying this purchase went to help support children and preachers around the world. So they'll know that specific item has been used to help around the world. So these will be wonderful gifts that you can actually give to other people, and also spread the name of our ministry to them, a good opening of the door. Talk to them about us.
Speaking about giving those gifts from those children in Honduras, John, you're actually leaving for Honduras again here soon.
I am on Sunday, March 1st. It's a short trip. I'll only be there 12 days. But the primary reason for going is we've got some construction projects that we need to get started. I've learned in the past, I don't have to be there the whole time they're doing it, but if you're not there when the foundation's being poured, you can just forget it if they didn't do it right, Well, it was supposed to be over there, not over here. Oh, we didn't understand. You can't pick up the foundation and move it. So I'm going down for that. I've never really done building projects before, but we've done so many of them now. And I'm going down to check on 5 different projects.
Wow.
That will be going on at the same time. And some of those have several buildings involved in the project. And all that's happening between now and by the end of this summer, hopefully they'll all be completed. Some of them, without even us advertising it, people have already sent in the money saying, I want to help with this cause or this cause or this cause. So some of them are funded. Others we'll have to raise the funding for. But we're going to be remodeling some kitchens that badly need it. I mean, we've got some kitchens where basically they've been cooking outside on rocks. And so we've got to go in their building, remodel the building so we can put in a kitchen, bring in electricity, plumbing, get a stove, refrigerator, everything else they need. And then others, one is a building that has been purchased that was a house. It would have been a nice house if they'd ever finished it. But we bought it now, and we're going to finish it and hopefully add on to it and turn it into a church and feeding center. Another place we've been given a piece of property, we got to clear it and get it ready so that when we have the funds, we can build them a structure. So it's a lot going on. So pray for me that God will give me wisdom, because I'm not an architect or builder, and that we'll do this thing right in a way that honors the Lord.
We also have our media store for Ernest Livingston and Screening Room, and we just recently had a big contest that went out trying to find some episodes in Screening Room that had endings on it where there was a little few seconds, maybe 4 or 5 seconds of extra footage. The top winners that found the 3 episodes of all of our episodes this last year was Annabelle and Will Priest in Missouri. And for anybody that was looking for those, it was episode 16, The Backpacker, 22, How Many Are Going, and episode 25, You Killed My Iguana. So if you haven't seen Screening Room, you might not know what those are about, but those were the episodes that those 2 kids found. And then we also had the contest, which was much harder for everybody to find, was what episode was Jon Nelms in the background, just hidden in one of those episodes, and it was the Thanksgiving episode. And the man that found that was Gavin Waller. So congratulations to you guys.
No, it didn't take too long for Gavin to find it, though, did it? It was like
no,
a day
it
or
did.
two?
It was a couple days, yeah.
Okay. Well,
a couple days.
That's still surprising.
I had several people calling in and making guesses, but they hadn't found it quite yet. We're also thankful we've had someone donate some money to help us out with some lighting, and we've been using some of our new equipment for lighting a lot recently. And we had someone help with advertising. And so please, if anybody is interested in helping the media fund, all of this is trying to gain interest from people around the world to show them missions, and it helps Final Frontiers.
Yeah, and that's not really something we ever try to raise money for. I mean, we have one donor who helps out a lot. But
this year he wasn't able to help that much.
Yeah, unfortunately. But the guys who do this work, I mean, you guys, y'all have bought all this equipment, and you got the studio set up, and it is amazing to go back there. I mean, it's something I dreamed of 40 years ago, and now it's a reality. But I have noticed that there's still a need, if any of you listening are interested in helping, because from time to time they have to buy makeup or a wig or
any kind of thing that you see.
Some sort of a prop, a shirt, whatever. So if you have things that you might be interested or able to give, maybe you could call up and talk to Josh and see if it's something that we would need, and then just put it in a box and send it to us. Dial the 800-522-4324, extension 103, and if he doesn't pick up, he's probably out filming or falling off a rock or something, so just leave him a message. He'll get back with you.
And that's something that we do need help with right now, is I need someone to help film me falling off rocks. I have a lot to film, and sometimes we just need somebody that, if you just volunteer for a day and you could come here just holding lighting or holding reflectors or holding audio, because sometimes it's just one person or it's just 2 people, and we do need that help.
Yeah, even the family could come, let the kids help out, get them involved in ministry. That's why I like the Screening Room so much. It gets my grandkids involved, but also from what you've shown me and others, the kids across the country who are watching it, and how do you say, play role it, or?
Yes, they were actually playing as if they
role play. Play role.
People cosplaying as Ernest Livingston, people pretending to be the Screening Room girls. It's pretty neat.
And I probably there's not too many 50-year-olds pretending to be Ernest Livingston, so it's kids. But, that gets instead of pretending to be some superhero or something, they're pretending to be a missionary. We want to keep producing as many of these types of things as we can, and we could always use volunteer help to do that.
Right now, I mean, it's basically on us finishing out season 2 of Ernest Livingston. We're all pulling money out of our pockets and spending money we don't have.
Hundreds of dollars are spent on props now. Just in the past couple of weeks, I think several $100s. So there's still things that we need, and I have the list, but we need that, and we also just need volunteer help. It's in full swing right now. We're finishing up the whole second half of that, and it's being shot right now in the next several months.
Well, with the Great Commission Fund, it's growing. Not as fast as I would like to see it grow, but it is growing and getting more people involved. I think the primary problem is that we send out email to a family, so one reads it, the other, and deletes it, the other one never sees it.
Well, if you're less than 30 years old, there's a good chance you rarely even check your email, and that's a big problem.
Oh, okay.
So,
wow.
A lot of the younger people, they just don't check their email.
So they're just looking at their phones.
Yeah.
Wow, isn't that something? Well, it's really been a blessing to the guys who are receiving the funds. And we used to have something called an unsupported preachers fund that people would give to from time to time. And that's basically what this is. It just covers our preachers' emergency fund. It just covers everything. But what I'm trying to do now is, of course, we always want people to say, I'll give X amount per month, like maybe 50 a month or 20 a month or whatever. But I'm also wanting to encourage people who already sponsor a preacher to realize that they can do both. Now, a preacher is $50 a month, but you can always throw in an extra $5 for the Great Commission Fund, and $5 probably won't break anybody. It's just a matter of sitting down and remembering to do it. So if you're listening now, you're probably sitting down and turn on your computer and go online. And Michael says you don't need his help. You can just go in there and adjust what you're already automatically giving. And if you don't give automatically, this is a wonderful way for you to do it. Give $5, $10 a month, whatever. And with that, we pool all the money and we help preachers. Now, what we're doing is, rather than you getting a quarterly report from a preacher, a specific preacher that you support, we're going to give a monthly report of a different preacher from around the world. Now, these first two, I think, have been in India, but now we're waiting on some from, Ghana.
I believe so.
And I got one from one director today, Michael. I don't even know who it is. Jon B.
John B.
It's in Thailand.
Is he related to Luke?
B's son?
Son and...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yesterday I sat down
I
sat down to send a letter to all of our directors around the world telling what we're doing, that I need their help to send me some really good stories with photos and so forth. And as I got ready to address the email, I realized, one, I don't personally have the email addresses for a lot of our directors, like Seth Say in Cambodia. I thought, surely I've got his email, but I don't. And then two, it occurred to me, I don't even know a lot of our directors. I have no, y'all mentioned Al-Awadi or something like that a lot. I've never met the guy. That just shows how much this ministry has grown. And also, for you people who think that I'm still running things here, how can I be running it if I don't even know who our directors are? So that's all in the laps of Michael and Daniel. They handle every bit of that. But at any rate, we're getting some fantastic reports, and it gives us an opportunity to not only present the preacher, but to tell a little bit about their culture and their life so that you can learn more about the world and your kids can learn more about the world. For instance, one of our recent testimonies, I think it was for January, it gave the testimony of a priest who had gotten saved and was now serving the Lord in the ministry, a Hindu priest. And he talked about how during the rituals he performed, he would give people cow urine to drink. He wrote that down as a matter of fact, as if it's a common thing, no big deal, like me saying I gave the guy a Coke or something. So I had to research and find out, what is that all about? Why would the people drink cow urine? Well, we put that into the story so you'll know. So it's a way for your kids to get a better education and for you to learn more about what's going around the world and what our preachers are dealing with. So what we're doing now is every time I write one of these, we send it out to everybody, Michael?
Yeah, we send it to the sponsors first, and then we send out a mass email just to everybody else so you can see what's going on, to hopefully wet your whistle, and you'll be like, maybe I want to support that too.
Now, if somebody wanted to give $1,000 a month, I'd be tickled.
Yes.
But I'd just as soon have 1,000 people give $1 a month, we want to get as many people involved in missions as we can, and this is even something your children could do. Even if it's $1 or $2 a month, it helps out. 1,000 kids doing that, that's $1,000 or $2,000 a month. So it's a wonderful thing. Keep it in mind and pray about helping us with that.
Welcome to the question and answer session with our founder, Jon Nelms. If you have any inquiries about missions or our ministries, please feel free to visit our website and click the radio symbol that says Heard Our Podcast. Here you can get in touch with us and write your questions in the comment box. We hope to hear from you soon.
This week's question is, what prompted you to start Final Frontiers?
Well, I wanted to help a missionary friend, Tommy Tillman, who was my mentor from the time I was age 15. He taught me bus ministry, street preaching, and gave me more instruction on actual soul winning on top of what I had already been given by another brother when I was 12. So I heard about his ministry in Thailand, where he was working with lepers, and I wanted to help him raise some money. So I planned that I would take a trip to Thailand with some guys from Hollywood who were believers, worked in the movie industry, and that we would make a short film on Tommy, actually a video. And then coming back to America, I would go out and start speaking in churches in the area that I lived in, which was Los Angeles. I would try to raise money for Tommy, because at that time he was having to fly back and forth to raise more money for various projects. So I went over there for that purpose, to create a tool with which we could raise money to help a missionary. When I got there, I met some national preachers, tribal guys that y'all have met now, up in a bamboo village in northern Thailand, and I saw what they were doing, and actually their works diminished the works of any missionary I've ever known, myself included certainly, and yet they had no support. And I sat there thinking about them, thinking maybe I should help these guys instead. But then on the other hand, I was saying, well, Tommy needs somebody to help him raise money too. So what do I do? And the thought just came to my mind, Tommy can raise his own money, and he can. He's very, very effective at it. Yes, it takes time for him to come back and forth to do that, but he can do it. Any missionary can do it. But these guys, they don't have anywhere to go to raise money. They're on their own. They're struggling. They're hungry, half naked. Their kids don't have food to eat. So I thought, if we don't help these guys, then who's going to help them? So instead of making the focus of the video on Tommy and his work, we shifted and made it on supporting these national preachers, not intending to start a ministry. It's just something we were doing as my church. But as people saw it, because I did go and speak in some churches, and they began sending in checks and so forth to help, we felt it was prudent at that time that we, rather than having all these monies being sent in to me in my name, then I would have to account for and pay taxes on before I could even send it overseas. We would just start a ministry, and that's how Final Frontiers was birthed.
In an age when the majority of countries in the world are highly restricted to foreign missionaries, we have to use the nationals to win their own people. Final Frontiers pairs national church planting missionaries who have already started churches and have strong, verifiable ministry experience with sponsors like you who want to see the gospel taken to the ends of the earth. To have a hands-on part in helping your fellow soldiers fulfill the Great Commission, visit finalfrontiers.world.
Paul wrote to the churches who had been misled by false teachers after his departure. He taught a doctrine of salvation by grace alone, and in his absence, they were imposing their doctrine of works by the keeping of Jewish religious laws. These false teachers realized they could not stop Paul or dilute his zeal, so they changed their tactics by following behind him, sometimes perverting, sometimes denouncing his message. When they caused the recent Greek and Celtic converts of the Galatian churches to doubt their salvation over the issue of circumcision, Paul grew so upset that he wrote in Galatians 5:12 that if these teachers really want to require circumcision, the cutting away of the flesh, he wished they'd go all the way with it and set an example by actually castrating themselves. In our day, circumcision is no longer an issue, but as missionaries we can understand the frustration caused by teachers following behind us who subvert our teaching. Among our evangelical brethren, divisions are not usually made over doctrine, but rather over opinions and twisted misinterpretations that we disguise as doctrines. Such things as dress style and music preferences tend to divide our churches and dilute our zeal. As a child, my pastor taught us it was a sin to work on Sunday. But was his preaching not working? What about going out to eat after church? someone had to work for him to eat. When we, by our preaching or example, teach that there is only one right way to dress, one right length for hair, only one acceptable style of music, and that all else is either liberal, spiritually immature, or sin, then we have perverted the preaching of God's Word with the promotion of our interpretations. Eventually, our example will be overcome by others who teach a more biblically validated doctrine. Teaching our preferences as if they are God's Word is perjury. The Great Commission involves more than just soul winning. We are to preach and make disciples, not in our cultural or national image, but in His. I'm Jon Nelms, and to learn more about missions, order a copy of my book, The Great Omission, on our website at finalfrontiers.world.
Your inquiries and comments are important to us. If you have any questions or perhaps subject matter you would like to have addressed on this show, please visit us at finalfrontiers.world.
You've been listening to the Final Frontiers radio show, funded by sponsors like you. Thank you so much for joining us. Through the funding of national and native preachers, we endeavor to effectively advance the gospel where it has never been preached before. If you want more information, visit www.finalfrontiers.world. That's finalfrontiers.world.